Yeah, all good.
Good.
All right. Listen, so Seb, thanks for joining me on the show today. Really looking forward to the conversation, man.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. That's my pleasure.
Yeah, all good, all good. So look, you know, I know we've been chatting beforehand over the past months and stuff, and you know, I thought it's great to get you on the show. One, because of, I guess, your sporting career and where that's gone for you and the success you've had. So I think that's going to be a really interesting thing for us to discuss or chat through today. Secondly, I love what you're doing now, man. I love how you're looking at that life beyond the game and sort of the changes that you're taking yourself through. I think are excellent. And, you know, so really those are two great topics for us to discuss, but I know that those listening are going to get a lot of value from it. So thanks for being open.
That's the minimum I can do. That's, you know, for me, that's very important. Just, you know, don't make it difficult. It is what it is. Let's chat. I'm a chatty boy, so that's good.
That's very true. I've got to try and keep us into a limit, man. That's going to be it. Maybe we'll do this in a series in different parts. So listen, man, let's just start with you and, you know, sport as a kid, 10 years old. What was happening, man? What was that like?
10 years old, to be honest with you, I played sport, but I was just playing just for the fun. I wasn't really into food. I was playing football because that was the only way for me to get out of my house. Because my dad was really strict, especially my dad. My mom, you know, she was covering the gap. But my dad was home, school, home, no time to hang out in the neighborhood for obvious reason. So when I had the chance, I was playing football. So at 10-year-old, honestly, I wasn't interested about becoming a football player or anything. I just wanted to have fun. And I've ended up being quite good kicking a football. So that's how it started. But at 10 years old, I just wanted to have fun with my friends, and that was it.
And you said your dad was strict, home and school, wanted to keep you off the streets. Why is that? Where were you? What were the streets?
Paris. You know, there's a lot of this theme about Paris. Paris is a wonderful city, but Paris is ghetto. Paris is ghetto, you know, like it's like the capital. And I grew up in Paris, and obviously my dad made a point, you know, he's got 5 boys. So he said, there's one thing I gotta make sure that none of you is gonna end up in prison. So that's my duty. So I've got to educate you. And my dad is a teacher. He was a teacher. So, you know, like being an educator, he sort of seen all sort of things, especially where he was teaching, which was in a really rough part of Paris. So he was confronted every single day to the school, like educating failure. So he didn't want that for us. Yeah. And he was coming from Cameroon, migrated from Cameroon to Paris, and as African, school only. You know, the only pathway to success is school. Yeah. So that's why, you know, he was thinking that no, boys, you gotta go school, you're coming back home. Yeah. You gotta go school, you're coming back home. No hanging out in the neighborhood. At some point, you know, I managed to hang out a little bit.
Well, that's it. We learn to test the boundaries, which is something I think will, you know, has been a bit of a recurring theme in your life, is pushing that boundary and just exploring around what's around that corner. So, you know, so it's good, right? So you're starting off streets, getting out when you can to play football as your escape from the house. So at what point did you realize I'm good at this? What was that?
One day, like my bigger brother took me into a club. Instead of playing on the street, he said, listen, let me take you on a Wednesday afternoon. At least you're going to train with a proper setup. Then I started scoring goals. I was a striker, scored goals. And then one day, the elders in my neighborhood, they mentioned something to me and to my dad. They came to my house, they knocked. And they said, Dad, sir, can we have a word with you? There's this thing which is called Clairefontaine. And it's Seb's edge bracket. And I think, you should have the look. But I was like, no, I don't want to hear nothing about all this. But they kept pushing. Somebody else came, said, listen, Seb is quite good. So long story short, they convinced somebody that my dad trusted to come and talk to him. So my dad had a look. So, and then I started going there. It was an hour away and I got picked. at Clairefontaine. Out of maybe 3,000 contenders, they only picked 23. It's the ground, it's the top of the top. It used to be the best pre-academy in the world, where all those superstars are coming from. Nicolas Anelka, Thierry Henry, Kylian Mbappe, all them guys. So this is when I realized, okay, my dad started to realize, this kid, he's got something. So now we're going to start to consider a little bit, I can't turn the blind eye completely. So, and then I got picked at Clairefontaine, and this is when it all started.
Right. And so what age was that?
12.
Right. Okay. And so thinking about your dad, the teacher, he's now got his son who's at one of the best academies in the world. What was the balance? What sort of balance did you guys find?
At Clairefontaine, you go the whole week and you're coming back home for the weekend. So my dad had to let something go. He had to let something go. It was difficult for him, but my dad was always, even when I got picked at Clairefontaine, he had to really make sure that school was a very part of the program. So they gave him reassurance. So, and then my mom played a big part in it. My mom pushed for me. That's when you need the mom to be strong. She pushed. Said, "Mom, come on, talk to your husband, talk to him." And she kind of pushed. My dad let go a little bit, but he was adamant. Listen, if your grades are dropping, you're out of it. I don't care. So, but football was, we were breathing football, eating football, smelling. That was 24/7.
Yeah.
So the balance, but I had a chance to go really far at 12 in Saint-Etienne, but my dad was, no. Okay, you're going to go Clairefontaine. Okay, I give you that. So he trusted me. So we made a kind of a deal that I broke many, many times. But, but yeah, that was the balance that we found. Yeah. And he had to trust me and trust his own education. He had to trust the seed that he had already planted within myself to grow the right way, which was difficult for him.
Yeah. And so for you in that, so what was the footballing world like for you in that? How long were you at Clairefontaine?
Clairefontaine, you're supposed to do 3 years.
Yeah.
But I was there for 2.
Okay.
I got every single year, they get rid of 2 or 3 players, to end up with a squad to play a certain level, a league on the 3rd year. I did the 1st and the 2nd one. But football-wise, was the best thing that happened in my life. That was me learning the core of football. Every player's got a football in his room. So, you are surrounded with football mindset, and you're in the best place because all those great players came out of this place. So there's an aura around the place. So there's some expectation, and we just play football all the time. So you get better because you repeat things. You practice, and it becomes so natural. So for me, this is where I thought, this is when I got my DNA of football. Right. This is the DNA of football. Like, they teach you properly how to kick a ball, but take your time, repeat. Repetition over repetition over repetition when you're a kid. Only technical thing. That's why when you leave there, you got an advantage because you're really gifted. It's easy. You don't think about stuff. So that was an environment. And sometimes the likes of Thierry Henry, because he was there before, William Gallas, Nicolas Anelka, they used to come to visit us. Yeah. Because this is it's a family, it's a brotherhood. From the elders to the new one, we all got this DNA. and you learn football. And Thierry Henry once said, it's because of Clairefontaine that he had been able to adapt to the Barcelona style.
Right.
Because at Clairefontaine, he learned the core of football, things that most of the people, they don't really learn. So that was the environment in football at this time.
Yeah, so I'm interested. It was an environment of learning. Now, your dad, when we think about learning, what he was talking about was getting into school, academics, reading, the writing, that learning through story or through voice in that regard. So at Clairefontaine, was it the same? Was that core? Was it sitting down? Is it predominantly in classroom and people talking, or was it predominantly on the field?
You go to school in the morning, you finish up at 3. From 3 onwards, you come back. Like the typical day, you're getting up. You can't, when you go to school, you can't wear tracksuit. It's jeans only. Because you got to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Jeans only. But us, we had tracksuit in the backpack and stuff like that. Yeah. But this is the rule. So you finish up, you go to class to a normal college, for us college, secondary school.
Yeah.
In UK, secondary school, you go a normal class.
Yeah.
You get your education like anybody else. At 3, the bus come and pick you up, brings you back to Clairefontaine, all of us, the whole 3 years. And then you got maybe 20, 50 minutes to get changed. Then football starts.
Right, okay.
Then football starts until for 2 hours and a half, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Then you got time to go and change. Yeah. You got to study. You go back to do your homework. You got an hour and a half. People are looking after you. You're doing your homework. Then you go to dinner.
Right.
And then the night carries on.
Yeah.
So that was a good deal for my dad.
Yeah. So you're getting the scholar, the academic happens, and then I guess you're then out on the field for the football, 2.5 hours. The training then kicks in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as we got a ball each in our room, so every players, so football never stops. Yeah. So in the corridor at night, we're doing some challenges. We're going out because Clairefontaine is a big domain. It's far, it's in the forest.
Yeah.
So you go to field. So we're going out maybe at night and we go play, leave 5 aside. We keep practicing tricks. Football never stops.
Yeah. Interesting. And I think that just that difference in the way that you had to learn as a kid and that intensity is quite interesting, both the study and the physical and learning in that different way. Something I'm sure we'll touch on again a bit later. So look, you're learning then the game. You're studying. You're doing your schoolwork at the same time. You say you leave Clairefontaine. So what happened next? Where did where did the football then start to take over even more so?
The main thing is when I left Clairefontaine, it was heartbroken for me because I wasn't good enough. There were some terrific players. I thought I was good. I thought I was good, and I was good, but you always find better.
Yeah. So,
and I didn't have, now when I reflect back, I didn't have what it takes at the time, maybe to do the third year, and my grades were starting to go a little bit down. My behavior, in a group, we are kind of really naughty. You take all the kids from different neighborhoods and you put them all together. It can create a big mess sometimes. And so they got rid of me. I was devastated. I cried my eyes out. Honestly, I cried. But I had signed already for my professional club because this is how it is. People come and scout you. Clairefontaine is a big window shopping for football, professional football club. They see them youngsters, they scout them, they follow us for years, a month, they try to get you. You go and visit some academy. So you kind of praised. Yeah. And then I had signed for FC Metz, northeast of France already, at the end of my first year at Clairefontaine. So when I left, as I had already a club, that was another reason for me. It was between me and another player. The other player didn't have a club already. So said, if I had to make a choice,
yeah,
you go. And my dad was 100% agreeing with that. Let him go to the countryside. Let him leave Paris. That
yeah,
him here no more. Off you go.
right.
So that's how I went to Metz, and this is where things really started. I signed my first. I've done a couple of seasons like in academy,
yeah,
and then I signed my first contract at 17, turning 18. Yeah,
yeah,
professional contract. I played my first professional game at 17.
yeah,
But I was coming from Clairefontaine, so I had a good contract, and I was confident. I was really confident about in my abilities, my skills, but I didn't have the mindset.
Oh, right. In what way?
I was playing out of talent. When you're Clairefontaine, when we used to play against other teams, we used to swipe them. I mean, the fact that we were so good all together, we were doing that every single day. It was so easy for us.
Yeah, yeah.
I had never in football for real faced adversity.
Right.
So for me, it was easy. I wasn't really pushing. I was talented. And in the back of Clairefontaine DNA, I was going to Metz, where people were fighting one another. You know, they wanted to make it.
Yeah.
They wanted to make it. They were hungry to a point that, no. You can't let it go. So it became the jungle. But me, I came from my little, spoiled, posh environment where I know I'm the best.
Yeah.
Inside, I'm a tough guy because I know where I grew up. But football-wise, I've been accustomed to a certain level. For me, everyone around me was really good. So I couldn't even understand when another player, when I got to Metz, couldn't do a 2v1, couldn't do such a thing. I was like,
yeah,
where did you learn football? And that was it. So it was difficult for me.
Yeah,
it was difficult because even the head of the academy, because he had some Clairefontaine boys in the previous years, who came to Metz. So he knew the drill. He knew how it was going to come with what kind of mindset.
Yeah.
So he was going hard at me just to break this thing out of my mind. And it took him maybe 2 good years, 2 years for me to really get out of this Clairefontaine.
Okay.
This is when I realized and I became hungry.
Yeah.
For it. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So at least that hunger, interesting, not the very early beginnings, but that Clairefontaine experience that shaped you, but it set your expectations of who was going to be around you and therefore how hard they would work or what skills they had. Stepping out of that, it seems like you realized that was already a great achievement, what you'd achieved at Clairefontaine. Others were not to that same standard. But the beauty about football is it's a team game, right? You need everybody around you, so you need to lift that game, don't you?
It's a team game, and when you're young, you can't realize that you need one another. Like you're thinking about your own self because that's all you know, and what would you think otherwise? That's the question I ask other people. Why would a kid think different way? He ain't got the brain, developed enough to have all these components. But when you get the thing about football, you need one another. And when you get into academy at a young age, you've been thrown into an adult world quite quick. So you got to pick things up really quick because you start facing competition, ruthless competition really quick. So you got to be able to handle your emotion really quick. You're going to face stuff that normal kids at 15, 16, they don't really face that.
Yeah. So how did you do it?
Let me tell you a story. When I was at Metz, when I left Clairefontaine, I went to Metz. So the first season I played the way I played. There was 2 very key moments in my time at Metz. When I came back after my first season, I went to Cameroon. I went to Cameroon on holiday. And long story short, because my granddad showed me he showed me around for real. He said, listen, I know you play football, and you know I don't talk a lot, but let me show you. Let me show you who you're playing for real. Who's counting on you? Because you might be in France, but this is where you come from. This is where your dad, and then he showed me the people who were looking after my dad, showed me, because my mom was living next door, and he showed me the reality. That was, for me, that was a shock. So he planted a seed within me. He planted a seed, and I knew my why. At this time, I was like, okay. So honestly, it shocked me, and it hit me, but in a good way. I needed that. So that seed has been planted into me. Then I went back to France. I went back to Metz after my first season. I was pumped up. I was really pumped up. But as a young kid, you know, you start to decrease, like the New Year resolution. You know, by February, March, for some of you guys, they'll go down.
Yeah.
So that's what happened to me. But then fast forward after the second season, that's why I told you it took me 2 years. On the next summer holiday, I went back to my neighborhood in Paris, but I didn't want to go back to Metz. Because all my friends, you know, they were having 2-month holiday, and me, I was supposed to go back end of June to run, to struggle. I wasn't having it.
No.
Yeah, pre-season, I wasn't having it. I was like, no. So I stayed. I had a moment, and my dad wanted to send me back. You know, I was getting a bit bigger. I was becoming a man. So I thought I was somebody. So I thought I could confront it. And I said, no, I'm staying. I was a little thug. But the elders in my neighborhood, they made my life hell. They said to my dad, he has to go back. He can't waste his chances. So can we handle him the way we handle things, you know, in our neighborhood? And my dad said, yes. So they literally, every time they were seeing me out, they were beating the hell out of me. lashing out the dogs and everything. They made my life a nightmare. So after 10 days, 12 days, I said to my boys, listen, guys, you know, I'm out. I can't take it no more. I'm out. I'm out. So I went back, and they told me, you don't come back unless you make a name of yourself. You don't, you know, your dad, your mom raised you in a certain way. We raised you in a certain way in the street. So you know who you are. So they planted another seed.
Yeah.
So when I went back, this is when the hunger started for real. This is what clicked. That was a trigger. Then from that day onwards, I became a beast until this day.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The role of family, the role of community, that support structure just not really giving you a choice. They told you, well, don't waste the opportunity. They saw for you a way out of the neighborhood, a way to go and make something for yourself, right?
That's the main thing. And my granddad, rest in peace, because I have my name of him, Sebastien. He said to me, listen, you're the only one in the family who can break cycles. When I was in Cameroon, when he was showing me around, he said, because we've been there, you know, in the poor neighborhood all our lives. So you're the only one now who have a chance. And that's why I want you to realize that you can break cycle, you can change things. Yeah. So all, you know, him, my community, all together, not giving me a choice.
Yeah. Now that's a pressure. That's a pressure. That's not just a family name. It's your name that you are looking after, or there's something that's given to you. How did that shape your career?
That, as you said, I was looking after my name. I was honestly looking after my name. For me, I was in my mind, I didn't have no choice. I had to perform any way, shape, or form. The pressure that you talk about is a real pressure, because when I went back home, Cameroon, and I keep going back home, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. So if I can bring them some joy, for them to get away from their everyday misery, who am I to just think about myself and not, you know, like outwork myself, you know, keep pushing again and again.
Mhm.
Am I selfish? No, I'm not a selfish guy. So this is when the pressure came, but a pressure that I fancied. I like that pressure because that was pushing me. That was me saying, Seb, you can't, people say, you can't do it. Okay, let's see. Let's see, because I know who I'm fighting for and why I'm fighting for. And there's nothing can stop me to achieve what I want to achieve because they're counting on me. That was my why.
Yeah.
That was my why. And that's how it shaped my personality. That was full of triggers, things, incidents that happened that could have taken me on the wrong side.
Yeah.
I went that close to end up in some behind bars and stuff. Then I was like, nah. That's why my elders were like, no. In my neighborhood, no, you're out. And I was the type of kid, like most of the kids in the neighborhood, if you give them too many choices, they're not gonna go for the right one because they think they know better. You're gonna be strong enough to know that I'm looking after you, regardless if you like me, if you don't like me. That's what my dad did. Whatever you say, this is for your own good. Get that out of my face. That was it.
Yes. And well, look, I mean, I guess the good thing, we look back at that now, but the good thing is you got back on the train or the bus, you went back to Metz and, and really propelled, I guess, your career from that point onwards. So as you look back at your career, tell us what would you describe that came next? What were some of the highs that followed? I see all the shirts behind you and, I'm like, the history is there.
The history is there. And I don't miss playing football, but I'm proud of what I've achieved. When I look at those shirts, it's not an ego trip. No, it's just for me, that reminds me moments because all of them shirts, they got you got different memories.
Yeah.
My first one was this one. My first one, this is where I started, Metz.
Yeah.
My first number. So it has a whole history. It goes with it. It goes whole memories.
Yeah.
The first one, the Spurs one, is when I scored the first ever Champions League goal for Spurs. Ever. So that brings me some type of memories. Cameroon shirt, Cameroon national team.
Yeah.
Obviously. Norwich, when I have a very special relationship because there was some good high, but some really, really, really down. I have to keep this one to remind me where I was,
right?
Especially that one, because where I came from, because at some point I was in real deep trouble over there. So I don't want to forget about that.
No.
That's why this is my setup in terms of this shapes my career and different moments. So when I started, then when I left France to I don't have Newcastle here. I should have, but I put some Newcastle one somewhere.
Yeah.
But Newcastle should have been there because it was my first club in the UK when I wasn't speaking a word of English.
Yeah.
My love of English was like, where is Brian? Brian's in the kitchen. That was it, So that was me at 19, turning 20, going abroad, never been abroad in my life. With a backpack.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming back into my head, thinking, okay, so you've got to remember that. Going forward, because it's part of your life, I don't want to showcase that, but for me, boom, every time I see something, okay, it brings me back memories and I know how to overcome any challenges coming towards me because I can go into my memories like, okay, you've done it before. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go again.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you think then those memories, because for you, the game, you've just spoke about how it was more than just you playing for fun. It's more than you just playing for pure enjoyment. There was a lot that its importance came about giving back to your community, to the family as well. To what extent, as you look at the shirts, the clubs, did you maintain an enjoyment of playing the game?
I've always been a big football fan. I've always been a fan I love football first. Then it became a job at some point. It became a job because of the responsibility that I had. I haven't chosen them, but I had the choice to take them on or to just rebuke them. You always got a choice. But with being the man I am, as sensitive and emotional that I am, it's part of who I am. I'm here, I'm born to, I don't want to win by myself. If I win, I'd rather win as a group. That's why I'm a teammate. I've been team captain and all that kind of stuff. Because for me, I think about the group first. It's more enjoyable to win as a team, as a community, to help one another. If I win, I can bring you up as well. I give you all my abilities, so we both win. So that's the kind of mindset I've always had in my head. You're not a competitor. I had some competition, but still, even within the competition, we're playing for the same team.
Yeah.
If the team doesn't win, none of us are going to benefit from it.
Yeah.
So we have to find a balance to the point that, okay, even if you're playing at my place or playing at yours, if I can help you out in any way, shape, or form, I will, because the team is going to benefit from it. And if the team win, we're all going to be seen in a different way. So that's always been my mindset. So my enjoyment of football was about achieving stuff. I'm a guy, I'm result orientated. I want to win. That's what brings me joy. I want to win. I want to do everything in my power to make a difference. That's why sometimes people say, you're aggressive. I said, no, I'm not aggressive. I'm passionate. There's a thin line, but I want to win because I know what it takes. And that was maybe my downfall at some point. People thought, oh, you're too strict, you're too demanding. Because I know that my people, even if it's not financial, I need to give them something to rejoice. I have to give them something to rejoice, because if they're happy, I'm happy. If my kids are happy, I'm happy. So you got to know what drives you. You got to know because what drives me is different than what drives somebody else. But seeing my people cheering, dancing back in Cameroon or in my neighborhood, I had one of my mates in prison. He was wearing my shirt every single time, and sometimes he managed to send me some messages, and he was so proud behind bars that I was his friend. And even some of my friends were in prison. They were so proud, saying, he's my boy, he's come from my neighborhood. And I was killing it on the pitch. So for me, I wasn't giving them no money sometimes. But the main thing I could do for them is play at the highest level, give everything. So that's my enjoyment. That's when, it was a job, but it was still, said, you got a chance, take it.
Yeah. And I mean, that to me is brilliant, because you hear, for the community, for friends, for neighbors. And, I think about watching you play in a stadium, 40,000, 50,000 plus people cheering for you and the team. And so when you find yourself as captain on the field, leading those people, doing that for those in the stadium and those watching on TV, it's like another community there that you're enjoying providing for them.
Especially as I really felt that at Newcastle, because Newcastle was my first, France, it was, but the vibe is different than in the UK. When you come especially Newcastle football, it's like a cult. You're in a cult. And I've realized how much I could provide joy to them people. And Kevin Keegan, when I was on the trial, because I came to Newcastle on a trial, I had a trial, he said something to me, said, listen, little fella, if there's one thing you got to understand here, you got to manage your own business, take care of your own life. But the only thing people would like from you is to give you all the time. You got to give it all, whether you're having a good game or not. And it stuck into my mind. I said, that's the bare minimum I can give people. I will have some bad games, you know, like I'd be rubbish, losing the balls and I don't know, scoring, I don't even know, all sorts. But effort-wise, I can't drop my energy level. You got to try. That's the bare minimum. So that stuck into my head. So, and then that's why I was so, sometimes I got carried away about, no, we play. My life is sorted, sort of, not even sorted, but they're coming to watch us. We got to give them something. So community changed, especially at Newcastle. This is when I got like vaccinated with that. It's like, okay, no. I'm going to give you everything. And I'm going to be one of you because I love to interact with the fans. I love to go there. So let's talk, you know, like, you're not happy. Let's have a scrap. Because this is family. That's how we do. Like, don't expect things to go only upwards and to be so nice. And no. You're not happy. Let's talk about it. That's, for me, that's passion. The same way you love me, I know you're going to hate me the same. But that's all right. That's all right. So that's, you know, that's what was very important for me.
And so look, that passion that, and, you know, for those that will know Kevin Keegan is a very passionate player and manager. And, you know, given that focus in having the minimum you could give is your all, the pressure that you were absorbing in terms of, you know, providing joy to the fans of Newcastle and players around you, is there time for anything else, or is it all football?
Looking back, I would tell you that there's time for anything else. But looking at me at 19, 20, I feel sorry for myself not have been able to look for anything else, because you got room for that. You got plenty of room for that, but you're so caught up into this world. Football world is becoming so important, so big. So you can't really look elsewhere. You think you ain't got time. You think that if you do something else, it's going to drain your energy, but it's not. That's what you think. That's what you've been put. Like, that's how you've been, you know, set up. You got to rest. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then you ended up playing PlayStation for days, therefore for hours, which is pointless for me. But I had room for anything. You had room, but I never wanted to look at it. I was so obsessed. So obsessed, and I was brainwashed in a way. I can use the word brainwashed because you are brainwashed. And it takes a lot of character and awareness, self-awareness, and courage to look elsewhere. Because if that doesn't work, people are going to make you pay. This is because you're trying to do this. We tell you to concentrate. So you're young, you don't want to mess up. So you've been pushed in a certain way to behave, to be really like a stereotype, and you're becoming a stereotype. Unfortunately.
And so that brainwashing, like you say, but that focus, which is, like you say, anyone who's just paid £100 to get a ticket to come and watch you play expects you to be focused on that game, and expects you, I guess, like them, to have thought for that whole week leading up to that game. This is it, 3 o'clock Saturday. Right. So for you then, as that player, and it's a life that many certainly think looks great. It's something that as a player you feel is going to last forever. At what point did you have a feeling this isn't going to last forever? Where were you playing then? What was that feeling?
I've always knew that it wasn't going to last forever. I've always been very grounded, especially because of my parents, my surrounding. You know, at some point I got carried away a little bit. You know, you think you're somebody, you think that you're better than, you're above than the sun. I don't even know. But the thing is, I don't blame people to get to that stage. The only thing I say, don't stay there for too long. You need to being brought back down real quick.
Yeah.
That's it. Of course, when you start earning a lot of money, quick, young, I don't know anybody who can really handle it at 19, 20, 21, like you would do it at 40 or something like that. It's not possible. You're not built for that. However, I've always knew that, okay, it's not going to last forever. At some point, football's going to stop. Football's going to stop. But I didn't want to look at it. Why would you talk to me about something who involved the end of something when I've just started? People were coming to talk to us about some, at the end, yo, relax. I just started. I haven't even really started, and you want to talk to me about the end. That's the mindset that a football player goes through. Yeah. It's not that he doesn't want to listen, but he hasn't really enjoyed it. And you already want to take him to the end of it, which means, not something very glamorous. The end is always difficult. So psychologically, a footballer is not ready. The football player is not ready, especially a young one. So, but I always knew that he was going to end up at some point. Did I do anything about that when I was young? Not at all. I was too stubborn. I wanted to just concentrate on my craft. That's what people told me to do. And that's what I thought I should have done. And that's what I did. Yeah. But when I really took action about, okay, said, let's have a little look a bit closer. That was when I was in trouble at Norwich.
Okay.
Really,
What do you mean when you're in trouble?
In trouble means that at some point I went through a situation when I came back from on a preseason, and I didn't have no locker. They stripped my number off. I wasn't allowed in the building anymore. I mean, I went through hell for a couple of months, and then I had to go out on loan. So yeah, I was unwanted. I'm not gonna go deep, and that was difficult. I got kind of stabbed in the back from my teammates. So basically, they wanted to get rid of me, and they were showing me that, listen, you're not wanted here no more. Even though you're captain, take it off, everything off you. That was challenging. Yeah. So that's when I really tested who I was. That tested me. I had at some point, and I had to come back 6 months later in the same squad where all those troubles started, because the new manager was coming and he wanted me in. Yeah. So this is when I thought, it's going to be difficult. And he asked me one question. Said, I need my best player. You're my best player. Can you do it or not? I said, give me a day. Give me a day, because I need to think about it. I'm not going to give you just an answer just to please you. And this is when I thought, you'll have to do something different. So if you really want to prove people wrong, you want to come back from the dead like a phoenix, it's going to take a lot. So this is when I became the coach, speaker, the coach, the performance coach that I am today. This is when it started, because I had to get some help from people. I had to get one. I couldn't do it on my own. I had to get one. When I got one, life made me bump into somebody, and we started like that.
And so when you say you asked the question, you came back, and look, for this is later in your career, right? So Captain Norwich, later in your career. So you're coming back here now. Asked, is your head still in it? Can you get back to what you were, right? Get past the troubles. So you realized something was going to be different. So you got yourself a coach, but by coach, you're not talking about a football skills coach here, right?
No, I'm talking about a life coach.
And
what a life coach here.
And what made you think that was the type of coach you needed?
That guy, I mean, I wasn't looking for a coach. Somebody introduced me to someone, and we just started talking, and it appeared that person knew about me. He knew about me, and he was testing me. He was asking me questions, just like that in a in a conversational mode. Okay, so, and he saw me that I was really angry. He could feel the anger within myself. So he was asking me questions, and I was always deflecting the blame. That's not my fault. That's them. And he asked, and he kept his cool, and he asked me question, and then he asked me about are you in tune with your body? All them kind of question, and I love that. I love challenges. So you want to challenge me? I'm scared of no one and nothing. So okay, cool. So I've welcomed the questions.
Yeah.
And I saw within that person, without knowing that he was a coach, that I like his approach. He's challenging me, but I can answer. Yeah. Then he got to me. He said, okay, close your eyes, do this. Can you see the? And I was like, yeah. Just because I didn't want to show him that I had no response. But that's the way I'm wired. No, you think I can't do it? I'll show you. Long story short, then he told me he said, get my number. And if you need anything, just like that, if you want to talk, because I felt that he could understand what I was going through. All my emotions, nothing was scaring him. He wasn't scared of nothing. I said, I like that.
Right.
And that's how the connection was created. And then he told me, listen, this is what, this is my background, but this is what I do now.
Yeah.
I said, oh, that's interesting. He said, and then he said to me, what do you want to do? And I told him about my situation. He said, okay. And he asked me a question. He said, what are you prepared to do? I said, his name was David. I said, David, anything. He said, anything, sir? I said, anything. And then he said, shake my hand. Now we have to work. And I said, let's go. That's how I didn't think, oh, let me get a coach. That person came, we got along. Then he offered me his help. He said, listen, this is what I do. Now let's be factual, transparent. What are you prepared to invest, to sacrifice, to get where you want to be, where you want to go?
Yeah.
I said, anything. Let's go. He said, are you sure? I said, David, by now you should know me. He said, I do. I just wanted a confirmation.
Yeah.
That's when I said, this is what I want to do.
Right.
This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be a football coach or skill. I want to have because that guy had an impact on my life, not only on my football life. He had an impact. He was in my life.
Yeah.
Sorting things out, even with my misses. I mean, because everything is connected. My family issues and all those trauma, and he was going deep, but taking action. And I love that because I could see result.
Right.
And this is when I said, nah, this is me. Thanks God. I said, I was praying to know what I was going to do. This is me all day.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And I mean, that's great because you talk about the impact, and I can hear the passion come alive as you do that. And it seems like before that point, you hadn't really said, after football, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to run a pub. I'm going to do etc. This just wasn't in your thought pattern, right?
My friend, I think my parents and my missus will sometimes, every now and then, we were talking about that. And I used to say, I'm going to run my businesses. I'm going to be a businessman. That's the easy way out to say, I'm going to be a businessman. Yeah. It's not specific enough, but honestly, nothing came into my mind. Nothing that I really like. I could have said, I'm going to become a coach because that's the easiest way out. But realistically, deep down, I didn't feel it. So if I don't feel something, I can't really engage myself into it. So that's why, what do you like, Seb, about football? I don't know. Honestly, nothing special. That was my mindset. I don't even know. Until I found what really gets me passionate. I was like, yeah, now I can make the difference. Like me going to a shop. Yeah, I can window shop. If I don't fall in love with an item straight away, I'm not going to buy nothing. If I say, no, this is what I want, I'm going to get it. That's the same for my after career.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can become a football coach. Nah, too stressful. I don't want to deal with that. No, too stressful. Like, see, I saw my coach, they had no life, they got divorced, and I have nothing. Said, you can, I don't know, what do you want to become? Doctor? No. Or finance? No.
Yeah,
Boom.
but one of the things that's really interesting is because you're in the Premier League, right? Premier League, you have, and I know myself, you'll have the PFA, the footballers, they'll come in, they'll do a talk, they will say, we'll pay for this, we'll help you with that. What impact did that have on you, those conversations?
None. None. Honestly, none. And I tell you why. Because all them conversation, for me, there was just a way to tick a box. Because there's things that we got to do. And us as a player, we're going to be sitting like that. It's like when the referee are coming, okay, come on, give us your talk. There was no way to really engage us. They were coming and telling us what they had to say without really making a connection with us. And me or other player being players and youngsters, you got to understand the mindset behind the baller. That's what I say to people. Just stop looking at the football player. You need to tick a box. Why would you? It's like, this is me when I do my talks, when I do my keynote speak. I speak to Seb at 18, 19 or 20. What did I need at this age? When I transfer my mind into that, I can really connect with them.
Yeah.
And those talks for me, yeah, but what next? What am I going to do with that? Realistically, I knew I used the PFA when I was in trouble, with narration, the situations.
Yeah.
That was needed because that was specific for a specific matter. I know I can go to you, somebody referred, no, Seb, you should go there. Cool, it's easy. When you start going too complicated, bear in mind, most of the football players, they stop going to school for years. So their capacity to listen is really short. So when you start talking over a half an hour, they start dozing off. This is a reality because you haven't been trained. You haven't been listening. All the speeches that a coach do, it's 20 minutes. Like before game stuff. So now PFA, no, nothing.
Well, I mean, and it's interesting if I pick up on, like you say, that ability to learn and, take you back to the Clairefontaine days. And, we're looking at that difference between that classroom learning, that academic learning, and how that's different to football, where football, it was short sentences. Now, let me show you, kick the ball here, move over here, and you're running around the field. It's really short, and it's that different learning style. And, here, you talk about the PFA coming in, and suddenly they're taking everybody back to the classroom. And that's not the world that the athletes are living in. The footballers are not living in academia. They're living in, here's the tactics on the board, watch the video, here's a 30-second clip, rewind, right, get out and let's do it.
That's exactly it. You're going to take back, what does that really mean for whether it's a football player, an athlete? That takes you back to school. Do we have a good memory of school? Whether it's right or wrong, you taking us back into a classroom where we didn't really enjoy ourselves. Maybe some of us weren't very successful. So you taking us back in an environment where unconsciously you're going to put a block. I'm not having that. I don't really enjoy that. That's why it's going to be interactive. It's going to be active. It's going to be, when you get us moving, because that's what we love. And people think, oh, no, he doesn't want to do it. No, just because he thinks he doesn't like that. Get him in an environment where what he likes to do, something he likes to do, this guy's going to be unstoppable. He's going to listen. He's going to ask questions. He's going to be engaging. But just because the environment, whiteboard, the pace, slow, and is redundant, no, you're never going to get anything out of those athletes. And you were spot on.
Yeah. And so thanks. And so for you now, you recently retired from the full-time game, except for the odd all-stars games
Yep.
that we see taking place. So what is it? So what do you do with yourself now? What's this? What has been yours, or what is your second win after the game?
My second win after the game, I'm impacting life, meaning I'm a keynote speaker. So I go around the world because I speak different languages. Thanks God, I got an advantage in terms of that because I can give my keynote whether it's in French or English. I can't give it in Greek or Spanish, not that much, but even in my Cameroonian dialect, but still, I speak different languages and I'm multicultural. You know, I grew up in Paris. I've been in London for 15 years. I'm from Cameroon, so I can understand a lot of culture. So this is what I do. I speak for a living and I coach. I'm a performance coach specialized in personal development. And that takes most of my day because I got a video series on YouTube where I give every Saturday morning when I give, you know, germs and principle to athletes and non-athletes because you can apply to anybody. And yeah, I give keynotes. So that takes a lot of my time, and I coach. I love to coach because you're having, as I told you earlier, you're having an impact on people's life.
Yeah.
But I can't really go to people because the need has to come from the demand has to come from the client. Because if I force you into it, we're never going to make some result. But if you feel the need that, okay, I want to get there, but I just don't know how to get there. Yeah. This is when I come in place. And then as result driven as I am, we're going to go 100 miles an hour. The only outcome is a win. The only outcome is a win, but are you prepared? I'm very result orientated. So this is what I do. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of research, back to school, a lot of courses. Yeah, but I love that. This is my second life, and this is maybe the one I enjoy the most.
Right. Wow. And why do you think it? Why do you think it's when you enjoy the most? That's big.
Because it's
that's
real.
a big statement. Because it's real. You said.
Because it's real. Football ain't real. The bubble we live in the football world, and the real bubble, and reality, it is what it is, and I've enjoyed it. I made the most of it. But I've always known that in the reality, the vibe, the environment is special, is made and is tailor-made to football for a certain period of life. But you shouldn't be caught up in that bubble thinking that this is reality. So that's why I said I enjoy it the most now, because now I got real life issues, real life, and I love to be normal. Obviously, I still got some fame. People recognize me. People, okay, no problem. But still, what I do now, it's realistic. It's real. So that's why I enjoy it for real. There's still special treatment, but I'm just my own man now. I don't. Yeah. And my fight is to not be labeled as Bassong. I'm Sebastien. So stop labeling me as a football player. I'm my own man.
Yeah.
I can learn things. I got a brain. So, and that's why I said this is real, and I enjoy it because I'm going to kill it in the real world. The same way I kill it in the football world, I'm going to kill it in the real world. That's why I enjoy it the most.
Well, I was going to ask, what is success now? What will success be in as that performance coach, specializing in personal development, the keynote? How is the success for this career different to when you're a footballer?
It's the continuity. Football had never been my destination. Football has always been a vehicle who would take me to my destination. What is my destination between me and you, Ryan? I don't know. But I know that every vehicle I'm going to get in, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to make the most of it to take me wherever I have to go. So the success for me now in my own journey now, I used to say that I used to run a sprint by myself when I had no kids. I used to sprint. Then I used to run a marathon because the only opponent was time. Now I'm playing relay because everything I'm doing, I got to pass the baton to my kids. Whether it's my kids, my community, I got to break cycle in order for them to take it over when I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
So this is my success, my relay. I want to create generational wealth. Wealth doesn't mean money. Wealth means a lot of things. So for me, I have to really, break cycles in order for my kids and those who come behind me, whether it's my kids or other people, to take it from there and really make it even better than me. That's how we grow. And my success would be that athletes wouldn't be labeled as their sport. I want you, if you listen, to really think that before you become a football player or basketball, or rather you're a person, I want you to believe in yourself, believe in what you got, because what you got is plenty. The seed is within ourselves and you're only asking to grow. But you gotta trust ourselves. That's my success.
Yeah, that's great. That's really powerful. I think the way you described that, you can, for me, I know I'm looking at you as well, and I can get that sense and that meaning, the importance that comes from you as you say those words, and I think that's great. Really is. I mean, when you look back, then taking what you're saying there, back to those and yourself when you're doing the sprint, right? What's your advice that you give to them?
I said, my advice would be you. I want you to be you. Stop looking elsewhere. Stop trying to copycat people. The quickest you find who you are, the better you're going to be. Don't try to fit where you don't belong, because people are trying to fit where they don't belong, but just because they're seeking external validation, they don't really believe in themselves. The quicker you can find who you are, what triggers you, what's your strengths and weaknesses, who you are. Maybe as an immature you, it's going to get mature, but I want you to face reality. That's the advice. When I say, what are you prepared to do to get success, is, are you prepared to look at you in the mirror and say, like, this is who I am? It's like somebody, I don't know, who's an alcoholic is never going to be able to get sober if he doesn't accept the fact that he's alcoholic. As soon as he accepts the fact who he is or how he is at this time, he's going to start his way up. Yeah. And it might be quicker than what he thinks. So my advice to them kids or youngsters or even older people is like, okay, cool. What do you really want? Once you find out what you want for real, find out who you are. As soon as you know who you are, you're unique. The rest is going to be in your control. Control what you can control. Stop looking after, like, thinking about what you can't have impact on. Control on. Control. That's my advice.
Okay, and that's good advice. I have an odd question for you, in terms, because you say you're back to studying. You're having to study now as you're becoming a professional in performance coaching. What would your father, you think about your, I wouldn't say joy for study when you were younger. How has that changed now?
Now I remember, that's crazy, because my dad used to, I can hear my dad, in my head. I told you, keep reading. I don't want to read. Even an article I couldn't read. But the difference now is studying. I never liked studying. I was comfortable. I was gifted because I was smart. Like, I pick things up really quick, but I never really enjoyed that. But studying, school gives me options. This is how I look at it. I don't go and study because, I'm mad at study. I love study the same way I love football. But I know that by studying, I can have better option to master my craft. Whatever I love, which is not studying, if I do study, that'll give me more options. If I get more options, I can be better at what I love. So that's the way I look at studying. I keep studying because I know that the more I study on the back end, I'll have more option to kill the game because I have more knowledge.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to adapt to different situations. And I'm not going to be just improvising, out of talent. No. You need facts. Let's get those facts. Just because I'm wired like that and I'm obsessed about winning. So before, I wasn't even thinking like that. I was good at school, but I was just somebody that works hard. You give me a task and I get it done. Now I became a hard worker, somebody who works hard continuously.
Nice. Yeah. It's funny, right? Because you hear the story, and for many, did you enjoy school? Nah, man, didn't enjoy school. And then like you've just described there, you find something that it's not just studying, but it's gaining knowledge. And it's like, I'll read it, because you're absorbing it quickly and you've got that interest, and that just keeps you going. And finding that way to get that mix, man, like we've spoken now, I think that'd be a good thing to be able to figure out, right?
That would be a life changer if you find a way to get that mix. You can change many lives.
That's it. I think we've just stumbled upon something there, Seb. I think we need to create that.
Yeah, let's go. That's how things come. Ideas come through conversation.
That's it. Well, look, I want to say thanks for just sharing this journey with me today. I think it's been a good story. I appreciate you taking the time to come onto the podcast show, and let everyone else know what you're thinking and where you're heading next. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, no problem. You know what? I give, I take, we give each other. It's fine. This is what we do. We're all going to win. And thanks for having me. And it's been a pleasure for me, as you can tell. Okay, I like to talk, so it's fine.
Thank you, man. That's all good.
It's all right.